Hey guys, welcome to Sopi Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para conan abrir. Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos riba Facebook, subscribe riba YouTube ou riba plataforma de podcast preferido. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde que tá. Sopi Mix Studio, powered by Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Cucheta localidade Ronde Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters. Organizando events, conferences of weddings. Mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen. Swing Masters está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swing Masters. E agora, Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
Alright. Welcome. Jamar sa tarde 6 horas. Sei que men com FLORIN TALK tá on. Riba Sopi Mix Studio. É plataforma número 1 de podcast aqui na riba isla de Aruba. Naturalmente tá powered door de Subway. Swing Masters e junto com Credit. Que tá se full plataforma aqui possível. A tarde nós tem episódio número 24. Episode number 24, the one that gives you more. Sí, mas look it up para mim como começar. Não está excited que não por outro episode de FLORIN TALK. Caminho que nós estamos introduzir nos guests não aqui rato. Pero por mim que sei, junto que sei também, nós temos visa com FLORIN TALK, agora patronizado de Monarch CPA LLC. Me te começar com por mim introduzir mi co-hostess de hoje tarde, com a Jennifer. Tremendo tarde, Pabo.
Danke, boa tarde.
Seguro que também hope excited para tarde para tremendo show que nós vamos ter.
Sim.
Com tópico de que hope interessante. Nós temos hoje dois guests para o show. Dois guests nang the Shiwa, Misier ku Manoj Alwani, and hopefully I said those names right.
Yes.
And today we're gonna have a show, and we're gonna not be talking papiando, but we're gonna be doing it in English.
Thank you.
So we're broadening our horizons for this episode. I want to welcome the two of you to our podcast show and our episode. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And we are glad that
First
you
time
guys
I'm
are
on
here.
Radio live, awesome. Nice.
First timers vote, right?
See,
Okay.
and it goes even further. There's not only radio, because on you're live
And
on
TV.
the internet waves of the world.
Yes.
Because it's not only social media, but it's also on YouTube and on the different podcast platforms, such as Spotify and the one from Apple. So yeah, this is breaking barriers.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, today our topic is going to be entrepreneurial versus the business mindset. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the theoretical part, or what it constitutes to be an entrepreneur, or to have that entrepreneurial mindset compared to a business mindset, and what a business man or woman does. So, and we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations and discussion about the topic. So, but obviously before we go specifically into those topics, I'm going to give my two guests a little bit of time to introduce themselves. We can go to left to right to left. We'll start with Shiwa.
Well, my name is Shiwa Misier, as he already said. 27 years old. Came over here from the Netherlands. So I think that's about it. Oh, and the last thing, I'm an entrepreneur in the making, just as a disclaimer, so you guys know. That's about it.
Nice to meet you. Nice to be here. My name is Manoj Alwani. I own a store called Rue Royale,
Okay.
High Class Retail Trading NV. We're located Palm Beach Plaza Mall.
Okay.
That store we opened in the year 2012.
Mm-hmm.
That way we conceived that store in 2011, the idea, the concept.
Okay.
And here in Aruba investing, and also from St. Martin. I went to school for business at American University,
Okay.
Washington, D.C. I studied finance.
Which school was that?
American University.
American, that's
AU.
what's called. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
And then I went directly back into family business.
Okay, got it.
So we're the oldest existing family jewelers, 47 years old in St. Martin,
Oh.
with Little Europe and Rue Royale. No association to any other Little Europes in the Caribbean.
Okay, okay.
That's the
interesting.
originals in St. Martin.
Right,
And just trying to make some money.
right.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah.
You mentioned that because that is a topic that we're going to talk about when we
Yeah.
go into entrepreneurial compared to business.
business.
So
Yeah.
that should be interesting. Now Shiva, you also tell us a little bit about your studies. If you didn't mention that.
Yeah. So I did a bachelor's in the Netherlands, international business. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew economics, like somewhere in that field, business administration. So it was a bit of all aspects of economics, business, marketing. You all know that
Logistics.
stuff. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Finance, a little bit of taste of everything.
Right.
Though one thing about my bachelor's, which was really important, was that I did a student company.
Okay.
That was my first taste of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
First
Okay.
student company. And we didn't make a new product. We just went on Alibaba. And we found this credit card-sized product. It's called the Wallet Ninja. I'm sure if you go to Google right now, Google Wallet Ninja, you'll find it. It's like one item, and it has all these features. You can open a beer bottle, measurement, blah, blah, blah. So we bought it from China.
Wow.
And we had our investment capital put inside. I think maybe everybody put in like 100 euros and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And we had to sell it.
Uh-huh.
So you start off your company, you get help with the taxes. We had to do the marketing ourselves, find the customers yourself. And it was an adventure. Like 3 months later, I think we 2.5x'd that investment. So if you would have put 100 euros
Right.
in, I would give you after those 3 months about 250 euros.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
That concept.
It's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we wish it was like magic all the time.
yeah, so once I saw that, I was like, okay, there's something different than a job. So let me explore more. So it was about that time I was finishing my bachelor studies. And I decided, you know what, let me research a bit more about entrepreneurship. And I found out that they had this study in the Netherlands, and it was actually pretty highly ranked in the world rankings.
Okay.
So there was this university called University of Amsterdam they did a collaboration with the Vrije Universiteit from Amsterdam. So they both worked on it together. So they weren't competing. They were
Right.
like
Collaboration,
joining.
partnership.
Yeah. And I guess that's where a lot of it started.
Okay.
Like the seed was planted, and that was like the first growth session. Met a lot of new interesting people, especially entrepreneurs. So we did a lot of consultancy projects in the beginning as students, but our clients were like people who just started a few months ago, just had funding a few months ago. So I remember the company that we did a consultancy project for. It was Clearwatt was the company, first of their kind in the Netherlands, 3 people. So that was really nice. It was like very, very early at the start of the process. And they had a very simple question. They wanted to know, okay, we want to grow, but we can go to small-sized companies, mid-sized companies, or the larger, like the big fish. What should we do?
Right.
And like we worked 16-hour days, no joke, 16-hour days for a month straight to put in all the research, cold called CEOs. A lot of them were angry at us. So that was a different experience it wasn't a protective environment.
Right.
And in the end, the conclusion was, I think it was to go to the mid-sized companies or something like that. And they did that. And they said like, it's working. Clients were actually converting; they were coming in, and we were happy. And then we were like, okay, let's meet up a few months later after the studies or after a year later. And unfortunately, they died. The company, yeah,
Okay.
crazy. So it's real. It's real. Entrepreneurship, like in the media papers, it's fun. It's fun, exciting. You can get like a big company, and they didn't work out. And the crazy thing was because their office was in the center of Amsterdam. It felt like Silicon Valley. Their neighbor, do you know the company Ring with the smart doorbell?
Yeah.
They were also their neighbor, and they said like, yeah, our neighbor. They just sold to Amazon, so it was like crazy. I'm not in the USA in Silicon Valley, but in Amsterdam, it's possible. You know? So yeah, that was like a real pivotal moment in our mind that it's possible. You just gotta give it a try, and it's not all roses and sunshine.
Right.
So I guess that's the master studies for me, and after we finished the master studies, a lot of us, we got opportunities to get jobs, board positions or whatever, or traineeships. And like usual students from out of university, you quickly go to get a job.
Right.
But I wasn't sure, what should I do? Should I get a job, or should I start a company, or what should I do? I didn't really have a direction in life. But I asked my director of the course, like, you have experience with this, right? Because you see students every year. So what would you advise? I mean, like, what do you think? What would you do if you would be like graduating at your master's entrepreneurship? What would you do?
You're just turning on me. No, but that's okay. This is part of the conversation.
It's part of the
Because I think,
conversation.
it's also about mindset, right? And how you prepare yourself in terms of education. In my case, I always knew I wanted to be an accountant. So I started to be an accountant. Ever since I finished high school here in Aruba, I knew, it was gonna be either baseball or it's gonna be accounting and accounting stock. So that's what you did. You studied, you prepared for it. You came back to Aruba to do internships. You finished your studies. You came back and you go to work because that is what you've been taught. Coincidentally, that is what I like. So it's not like it mattered a whole lot. We can talk about persons that maybe, they go to school, they study, they get a job, but they don't necessarily like what they do, or they still do not what they do. So I think my story is a little bit different.
But I think in Europe it's like kind of different because I saw people that just finished their bachelor or master, they want to travel the world and they just do that for 1 year and they start with a company or they start with a job.
I think that's a good. That's good that you mentioned that, because I think people, they faced 3 decisions. It's like the easiest one.
Yeah.
You get a job
You
because
get a job.
everybody's
Expecting that.
that's a normal
Your
solution.
parents, everyone.
Not many of them started a new company. Only a few. And I remember one company. It's still like growing like crazy. Where you go on vacation?
Right.
She said.
Explore the world.
Yeah, my choice, of course, was to. I had a few business ideas that I wanted to explore, so I formed 2 teams: a senior team with like an experienced entrepreneur,
Right.
2 experienced entrepreneurs, and a junior team with people my age. And with those 2 teams, I explored different business opportunities. Fast forward like a year later, it seems like it wasn't smart to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't smart to do it. And that was like the last few years of my journey. So it's really crazy because in university, you're like, okay, what's my idea? How do I start? And then I had multiple ideas. I had an idea to start cultivating shrimp indoor because it's not yet in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Germany, maybe one company. It's like so new. How did I figure it out? Because you need to have a sort of certification that's legal.
Okay.
So shrimp it was. I also wanted to do a company called Student to Stay. We worked on it. So a lot of students don't follow their university in the country that they were born in. So they go to a different country. And when you move, you also have to find a different house. And in the Netherlands, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is.
But
It's
now,
difficult.
Manoj, in your case, did you always know that you were gonna be going into the family business? Was your story a little bit different compared to going to school? I'm gonna go to school, finish school, and take over the biz, or during when you were at American University, did you explore? Hey, maybe there's something different that I wanted to do. So, what's your experience in terms of?
I mean, I partied like I was just gonna go back to family business. Like, I didn't, think like, let me hang out here, get my 30-second speech in and go apply for a job. But I did, towards the end, I knew that the right decision was to go and work for somebody else. And so initially walking into my first semester of undergrad, I remember I had a very difficult time for the first 2 months. And I picked up the phone, and the reason I had a very difficult time is because the classes were so boring. It was literally like I was repeating the last year of high school again on the first year of college. So
I had that same experience.
This is like aggravating. I
Right.
didn't travel all the way here to get the same material again.
Yeah.
So I remembered I picked up the phone after 2 months. It was already 8 weeks in. I was like, just did the midterms, whatever. And I called my dad and I said, you know what? You're wasting your money. And, this college education is going to cost us so much per year. And the opportunity cost of you not having me behind the counter in the jewelry stores is going to cost you this much because I bring in X amount of revenue.
Exactly. Yeah.
So total, it's going to cost you the tuition plus what I bring in sales.
Exactly.
It's not worth it.
So what did he say?
Bring me back home, like now, And he hung up the phone on me. So at that point, I said, okay, you hang up the phone, no problem, we're good. You're paying for this. I'm going to party 4 days a week. And so it came into like saying, business is really networking. And so I was going out almost every night, and I was networking like there was no tomorrow. And what I was doing was handing out business cards for my business, just the same way I brought them here today to hand them out to you guys, because that's where it's at. So I met so many people. I went to nightclubs, and Michael Jordan was walking into the VIP, and I was just hanging out with somebody.
He was
that I
playing for the
wanted to
Wizards back
impress,
then. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted, because I knew the bouncer, because I was like literally living at the nightclub, And so then Mike Tyson was also there. You could touch him on the shoulder, but it's no big deal. So, money is all around us. The ideas are all around. It depends what you want to grasp. And so getting towards senior year of college, I said, you know what? I'm not ready to go back to St. Martin and just grab a key and go behind the counter. Of course, by that time, we had already spent X amount of dollars on college education. That's 4 years in. You're looking at almost $150,000 to $200,000. And so I said, let me invest one more year here in DC and get a job and make mistakes in
And learn,
another
right.
person's company.
Which is
I don't want to make
what you were
mistakes
mentioning
in
too,
my
right?
business.
Making mistakes and learning from them.
Yes.
So you want to make mistakes in someone else's business because it's going to cost them money, not you money. It'll cost you a job, it's going to cost them money. And so you'll make the mistakes. So by the time you open your own business, you're not going to make those same mistakes.
That's interesting, right?
And so I didn't get to do that. And my family, which is obviously Indian, from St. Martin, my mother's from Spain, my father's from Lebanon. But they said, no, we've built this business. It's yours. It's for you. You need to come back here and own it. Like you're going to. So I said, I'm not ready to be a boss yet. I want to be an employee first. I want to be the best employee I can be before I go to be a boss. And so I went in and I've had a different journey. And that was just the one regret, is not going to go work for somebody else for 1 or 2 years.
How old were you?
Graduated 2021. Rock and roll. And start just making. So you make money. Money will fly in. Money is like water. I started to generate a lot of capital, bring in big revenues for my father and my ideas, and you get mocked at, and that's okay, when the person has good ideas. Oh yeah, look, he's so crazy. He wants to open a lemonade stand on the beach. Ha 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 ha. That sort of thing. But when you have headstrong and you want to bring in those ideas, and then you start bringing in results about 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, the results come very fast. It's not within a few months, but after maybe 3 years, you really see big changes start to happen. And yeah, so it was a pretty good adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going on, but I want to, it's your floor.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship. Yeah. So where did
Yeah,
we-
but those key ins are important, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you always have the
It's a different perspective, I mean.
different, it's different
Yeah.
expansion, but also entrepreneur. Obviously, when you have that experience and when you read it in books, it sounds very exciting and yes, I'm gonna do this. But when you go in the real world too, it's also a shock. But I think that's you also learn that in the entrepreneurial books. So with that being said, what in your mind is the difference between being an entrepreneur, or let me rephrase that, what is the difference in the mindset of an entrepreneur compared to a business person?
That's a good question.
Can thank her.
Okay.
He knows.
Yeah, I do think that a business mindset and an entrepreneurial mindset, they do overlap a lot. They do. But I do think there are differences. Like with a business mindset, you already are used to seeing things happen a certain way. Maybe you're already used to having clients, knowing who your customer is, seeing how to delegate stuff. There's a sort of a structure. And I do think with an entrepreneurial mind, it's more, not to say that business is not creative, but
Right.
entrepreneurial would be more creative, more seeking opportunity, innovations, and a little bit less structured. I do think there's a difference in thinking in time frames.
Okay.
Like on a long-term, short-term basis. I think that if you have a business mindset and you might be a business owner, then you can already plan ahead like a year. You're preparing for next year's demand. COVID happened, so you prepare.
Yeah, usually the most popular word you're gonna hear, I'm gonna prepare the budget for next year
Yeah.
in a business.
Yeah. And with an entrepreneurial mindset, I do think that when you start early on, entrepreneurship, nascent entrepreneurship, you start early on, you want to plan a year ahead, 2 years ahead, but then you make your planning, 1 week later you check it, it's not useful anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You got to adapt, you got to change. So I do think that the entrepreneurial mindset, you got to be more flexible, changed more. And with the business mindset, there's a bit more structure and certainty. But I also want to know what
Yeah.
Manoj has to say.
No, I was gonna say the same thing. What
No, I think
if you have any
hit it
thoughts?
on the nail. I really think you hit it very much on the nail there. You can't be too square about it. Like you just go to the store, open, go home, punch in, punch out, whatever, if you have your business. But if you're an entrepreneur, it really is so fluid. It depends on long-term, short-term, as you said, and then your flexibility, and also to be innovative and have courage.
Yeah.
But
And to really change the game and then figure out what the market's going to do. And another point that you said was that you've got to go back and study your game plan, because your business plan today, you may think it's going to stay for 40, 50 years, but you reach 5 years down the line and the market, the whole terrain has changed, and now you need to go back to square one just to study it and really analyze where you can tweak to move forward. I think that was a really good point.
now, what do you guys think about? And thinking from the top of my head, 2 companies, whether they had an entrepreneur mindset or a business mindset. The first one is, for example, Apple, and I think you guys most would be aware of their transformation, if I call it, or the whole timeline. They obviously invented the Apple, and then they had periods where they were almost non-existent, and obviously they turned it around to the point where they're one of the biggest companies, but they're also very innovative and not necessarily related to the business, but also trying to come up with innovative products and services. And the other one I'm thinking is for example Netflix, right? Netflix started as a DVD mailing company. They would mail their DVDs to customers. You can watch it, you return it, and that was their business model initially. And now, and everybody knows what's what Netflix represents. So what do you guys think about those? And Jennifer, you can also put in your thoughts, right? But so what do you guys think about those two companies, and in terms of their entrepreneur compared to their business mindset? Who wants to go first?
You're more up to date than I am, you know.
Go ahead, Shiwa.
Okay, let's see where I start. I do think that Netflix had a very, very big change that it had to do. So going from mailing DVDs to online, that's like a big, big change. I do know that also Apple, they didn't really have a choice to pivot. It wasn't going as great as they wanted it to be.
Right.
So they had to pivot, and they were forced to change. And Netflix, they saw like the opportunity because
they saw it beforehand. Yeah.
Because it was also Blockbuster was in the game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
read that.
Blockbuster, they did want to change. They did
Right.
want to go to streaming. And
Right.
the CEO, like, he prepared a plan, etc., to also join into that space. But in the end, I think the investors or stuff, they were too conservative.
Oh,
So their mindset,
they were business mindset.
let's keep the formula like it is.
Yeah.
Let's keep the formula like it is. And with Steve Jobs, I don't even have to tell. Like, he
Right.
was far ahead in the future. I remember back when the first iPhone came, like, it was iPhone against BlackBerry.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
BlackBerry
I
had all
remember.
these buttons.
Well, I mean, that's another example. BlackBerry, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They were the top of the game.
Yeah.
Everybody had a BlackBerry. Everybody had the BlackBerry pen.
For the pen.
And then look what happened.
Dude, you have to change. You have to change. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if an entrepreneur is more willing to experiment, more willing to see what's out there, more willing to do experiments that might fail. And business mindset, I'm not sure if you are going to look at the costs. It costs a lot if we fail, and maybe there's a tight budget, and maybe an entrepreneurial mindset might see more benefit in having a lot of experiments, a lot of opportunities, because you never know where a new growth opportunity might be.
Yeah,
True.
that's true. I do.
So, yeah, go ahead. You go for it.
I do have a comment about Apple. I think Apple is very innovative, and they growth with the innovation. They didn't stay at the same place like Motorola. They die. BlackBerry, they die. And also about Netflix, I think you see all these companies like Netflix, Airbnb, Uber. The Netflix took the chance. I mean, they were, Blockbuster? What do you say?
Blockbuster was the company that were competing
Right.
first.
And
Right.
they saw the need to, to be more modern, and they took it, and it's successful.
But you know why, right? You know why they challenged Blockbuster initially?
No.
The reason was that Blockbuster, you can rent it, right? But if you were late, a lot of people they were getting the late fees.
Yeah,
And Netflix was saying, you know what? You can rent it, no late fee. Just when you return it, that's when you can get another movie. That was the concept initially.
No, they did very good. They made
I'm
it
still young,
easier.
no?
Yeah.
I'm not that old.
No, they did a fantastic job. I mean, like, you didn't have to leave your house to go pick up the mail.
Right.
The mail system in the U.S. works
Right.
so sweet.
Correct.
But now they did that concept, but they took it out of the world.
Right.
I mean, made it international. I think in both companies, they have very strong brand DNA. Even if Apple had a slump in their growth, and then they had to kind of figure out how to appeal to what sector of the market, it's not that they kind of went out. They just had to appeal to a niche. So if you ask any graphic designer, what computer you use?
Apple.
Apple.
True.
Why?
True.
You
true.
asked a lot of the schools in the United States, they will teach iMac before Windows, even though Windows with 95 or whatever it was, 3.1, 3.2, big long ago. You remember that? I don't know. So with Netflix, if you look at the logo was the same even they were shipping the DVDs. So they stayed with their brand identity, and then
Right.
they figured out how to become relevant,
Right.
how to
Right.
become more appealing to their audience. But then using that, what you were mentioning in reference to Uber and Airbnb, what do you call them? Market, like they disturb the market.
Not innovative.
There's a
Market
word.
Disruptors.
disruptors. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So with that said, I mean, they disrupted the market and they benefited, and now you see they're on one track, one way, and they're just doing and specializing what they're doing.
Right.
So you can't be a jack of all trades. I think that's one thing that we're going to see across the board. You're not going to see like an Airbnb competing with Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
You know, they're going to stick to what they do, which is, online, whatever it is.
Although Netflix did make one change, and I thought it was at the end it's going to be all about quality too. But when they started, obviously doing the streaming, they did a lot of reruns of existing movies and existing series. But now they went into their own production as well, making their own movies, their own series, and that's what got them to the next level. Well, and then obviously there's different companies that followed, the HBOs, the Disney Pluses, and whatnot. So it seems like in this case from Netflix twice that they're ahead of the curve, ahead of the game.
They're ahead. Yeah, it's true.
By trying to be innovative.
Yeah, it looks good. Looks good so far.
So yeah.
Disney came up with their own thing.
Mhm.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
You got to pay another $14 there.
Yeah.
And another $8 for your Amazon Music.
Right.
So at the end of the day,
And Spotify.
it's
and
going to be
everything.
$100 a month.
And YouTube.
Same way it was. when you had
YouTube
to pay
if you
for
don't want to see
cable.
commercials.
Yeah, exactly. But cable used to cost $100 a month.
Yeah.
So now what's
Right.
happening? 14 here, 10 there, 10,
Right.
10, 10, 10. Apple TV, 10. It's another $100 a month.
Yeah, but at least you have a choice now, right?
Yeah, I guess.
You have a choice because then you pay $100 for the cable, but that's what you get. I mean,
So
you don't have any a whole other choice unless you want to upgrade your subscription.
Yeah, exactly. But another point, just one point I wanted to make was if you look at the end of the day, each of the brands are trying to guarantee their customer loyalty.
Right.
They're trying to lock in that I'm a Netflix customer for
Right.
so many years. I'm an iPhone person.
Right.
I only want iPhone. They really are holding on to their customer. So like I'm a Windows guy, other people are Mac. But each brand is at war with each other. And they're doing a fantastic job on how, and the tactics they use are really something to study in reference to entrepreneurship. Whether you have a lemonade stand or your food delivery company, you got to figure out a way to hold your customer and keep them yours, and not just by asking them, please, can you be my client? Please, can you stick around? But there has to be an emotional bridge.
Connection.
But then after listening to what we've been discussing, it seems like, and this is a very how you call it? What is it called? When you go for your PhD, what do? You do like not philosophical. What is it? The word I'm looking for?
You mean like your own devil's advocate?
No. When you're going to an academic question, it seems like if you want to be successful, you need both mindsets. You need that business mindset, and you need to have that entrepreneurial mindset because you need to keep innovating.
Yeah.
And you just can't look for next year. You gotta look for the short, mid, and long term range. What do you think about that?
I think that's nowadays.
You know what? I do want to give a different perspective also to add to that. Like,
We want to
right
hear.
now we're talking about entrepreneurship and tech companies and that stuff. But what about entrepreneurship in like the movie industry or like a film director?
Mm-hmm.
Because the interesting thing that I taught at school was that usually, Steve Jobs was the one person was the captain of the ship.
Right.
And they say that in the film companies, I'm not sure if it's true, but those are like all the academic articles mentioned it, that you have two captains on the ship when you make a movie. It's
Which
like
are?
you have the creative
Uh-huh.
and you have the business person. So the creative person says the movie is the art,
Right.
the scenes, everything. It's a whole art piece.
Right.
But he needs to have constraints. There needs to be balance, like the yin and yang stuff. Yin
Okay.
yang. And the business person is more like, okay, we gotta have a budget. The scenes need to be done with this budget.
Right.
The numbers, and if there's like a funding or something, it's not the creative artistic person that goes to do that.
It's the business. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also it depends per industry where you look at it.
That's why we need good accountants.
Thank you. That's why Jennifer and I are here. All right. So Shiva, what do you think that are successful ideas for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I do think that people get a lot of ideas. Like you get overwhelmed with ideas. Shall I do this? Shall I do that?
Especially last year, right, with the COVID and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a thing that I'm gonna reference from school, and usually there's not a lot that I remember from school.
You party too a lot?
Yeah, I was sleeping. But they talk about effectuation and causation. You don't even have to remember the words, but they say like, let me take the example of cooking. That's easy for everybody to understand. Say you want to make a pizza. Then I want to make a pizza. To make a pizza, I need to have, I don't know, tomatoes, the dough, etc. So you gather the ingredients to make the idea work. That's one part. A different part is I first look at what I have. I open my fridge. I see, okay, tomato. I see cheese, blah, blah, blah. What can I do if I put everything together? And then you come up with something else.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to tell to the listeners is, okay, if you have an idea in your mind, try to look at which one is it of those two. If you want to build a satellite company in space, like that's very difficult.
Right.
So reflect on yourself. Do you have all these skills that you need, the resources, human capital,
To make
the
it happen,
money,
right.
etc.?
You still got to be realistic, basically.
Yeah. Or if you just want to start your own, I don't know, pizza place. You have a bunch of friends. You have a scooter that you can bring it to them. Website like a stove. Maybe it's easier for you to have those stuff, but think about it in those clear ways. And I also do think that your mind is like a muscle. It's like a muscle. So when you work out in the gym first, you may have to use the 2 kilo dumbbell before you reach the 10 kilo dumbbell. So try to think. The first step is become aware, and then see ideas. Talk to people that about those ideas.
And is that how you transform that idea into a concept, into a business, and into a business?
That's usually what happens to people that talk to me. So that's why it's very funny because we speak, then I say like, have you ever thought about starting something for yourself? But they never asked the question before.
Themselves.
Yeah, themselves. They never asked the question before. And then they start to think, and then later on they say, you know what? I went shopping last day at the mall and this product, it just doesn't work. Then I say, if you can make it better, that's maybe an idea. But they weren't aware. They had it.
But that's a mindset too, right? Because a lot of people say that, hey, yeah, but this doesn't work, or they should make this better. But they don't think that, hey, maybe I can do it on my own and make it a product or service that I can sell or make it a business out of it.
But some of them do. That's why you see a need and then you want to fulfill it with the new idea.
No, true. But the majority of us, because maybe, I don't know, maybe of the educational system or not, we don't necessarily think like that. Obviously, you think a little different, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we were educated that way.
Yeah.
But I think that's changing too, right? Because I think more people are thinking in terms of entrepreneurs. I believe this, our new millenniums.
I think some of them, they have the spirit, right? If you have it, then you go for it to be an entrepreneur.
That's an interesting question. Because I remember the question, an entrepreneur. Are you born an entrepreneur or can you become an entrepreneur?
What do you think?
I think that, if you go to a school, you see a young kid, 7 years old, right? He may say something that he's influenced by. And who's going to be influenced by? His parents,
family,
or
right.
uncle or aunt, or someone that he feels his parents look up to. And so the child will respond, oh, I want to be, I don't know. Could be as simple as saying, I just want to deliver hot dogs.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Because they just know that relative is like super cool. So in reference to that, I think it's we all are explorers. We all just trying to find happiness, and we're just trying to, remember that happiness. There's a lot of people that They had the happiness. They went on a far journey to do God knows what different profession. They didn't find, and then end up coming back to the thing they didn't know they wanted. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you sometimes have to go through the pain to realize how good you have it, where you have it. Yeah? So it's just very abstract, but I think we're all after the same.
Right. But I think, I don't know, personal opinion, I don't think you're born an entrepreneur. I think sometimes maybe you were born, I'm not sure if I want to say born, but maybe you were meant to be. But sometimes you become too.
Yeah.
Because it's a different experience for everybody, right? Maybe it's out of school that you knew, hey, I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
You know what got me into it was the excitement, the adrenaline rush of competition. So that is more exciting to me than saying, let's just chase after the money. It's more like when you're in class and you're doing examinations, is it actually the class that's motivating you to get the best score in the classroom? Or is it kicking everyone else's behind saying, I got the best grade? So it's two different perspectives. For me, it's competing. It's not so much the class. The class anybody can do.
Right.
But if I can beat everybody else in the room, that's for me like, yes, I did something today. Just a little, feather, little chip on my shoulder.
You know what mine was a little bit? It's a little bit related to a couple of things you said. Getting a good grade, right? While not studying as much, but still enjoying life, partying in college, and still getting the good grades. That was like my satisfaction. I was like, I didn't do that. I still passed. Because there's some kids that, hey, they're like crazy. No, I need to get an A. I need to get an A. I cannot go out and can't do anything. I was
but you won't be able to succeed if you don't fail several times. And if you don't suffer. And
you need to learn from those.
There were a few hits that were really hard for me and my brother, especially when we were like 28 years old, between 26 and 28, but heavy ones. And that was a game changer. That made us literally go home, lick our wounds. And what you said about your brain working out and going from, 5-pound dumbbells up and up, I mean, that took us from like 5 to 50. I mean, it was such a slam. And so for me, I try my best. I have very few friends that are in my industry of luxury. And those are the ones I like, and I choose, like, they're very genuine and nice persons. But everyone else that's in the luxury business, retail segment especially, not wholesale, I make the choice that I don't want to have you as my friend because I've chosen to have you as my competition. And if I've chosen you as my competition, then I need to keep my head straight. And I need to really be ambitious and do whatever it takes to be the best eventually. They may be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 right now in the market. But if I keep my eye focused on the ball, will I reach the number 2 position? I never want to be number 1 because when you're number 1, you need to hold on to number 1.
You gotta maintain it. Yeah.
You just got to keep your eye on number 1 and make sure you chase number 1 down all day long. Right? And I got everybody else chasing me on the back.
Right.
But if I got to just chase number 1, I'm cool at number 2. So it's different. It's a different mindset. It's business is ruthless. It's nothing less than war.
Right. It is.
But you need to be able to sell an emotion. You need to figure out who you are. The brand DNA is very important.
I agree.
And that's what I always try to stick on for the last 10 years. And even before that was develop a brand identity for the existing company, which belongs to our family. Now I have my own company. I've gone away from the family business, but the brand identity has to be there.
And when did you realize that the brand identity is vital?
That's something that probably hit me when I was 14 years old. I mean, that was just something when you see, you want a Sony TV, you want, what Nintendo, right?
Correct.
You want to say, hey, how long is Nintendo? Because it went from Atari to Nintendo. Yeah. So you knew you needed brand identity. Mm-hmm. You know that your logo has to mean something as a business person. It has to deliver a message, finesse, excitement, reliability, confidence, service, something. And so this is something that it took me years to develop the logo, which we have now in St. Martin for my father's company, and then my company, which I used very similar characteristics, just a different name.
Right.
And to have a theme. But everything is changing today. So, for example, like I could be in a jewelry store today, have a jewelry business, sell diamonds and crystal and porcelain, but then evolve into owning a boutique hotel in the future. So that boutique hotel would feature a lot
All of those things that
the
you sell.
magic that my current retail environment sells. So you buy from my store to take a piece of luxury to your home or to give it as a gift to somebody. But imagine if I owned a boutique hotel with the same name, Rue Royale, you'd walk in and you would see and be able to enjoy and drink out of the Baccarat glass and have a Baccarat caviar set and see a Lalique chandelier right in front of you, and you wouldn't have to buy the chandelier. Coming into the hotel and just buying a drink, staying at the hotel, you're basically enjoying it without taking it home. You know, so it becomes more accessible, but also it reinforces the sales of the retail environment.
Correct.
You see it, you remembered, oh, I had a great honeymoon with my wife. Oh, amazing. I want to get that beautiful wine glasses that we were drinking with at the bar of the hotel. Now I'm going to have it at home.
Right.
And when it's my anniversary, I'll create something special.
Does entrepreneurship think about those things?
About brand identity,
A brand idea.
it's crucial. I think it's
Yeah.
becoming more important, like ever. It's so important now that you see the competition landscape way back was maybe between a price and features of a product.
Mm-hmm.
Like a TV had better features or better screen or whatever, and now it's people want to connect with the brand.
Right.
Also, sustainability is like a big topic.
Those two things, correct. Yep.
Sustainability, are they fair? Like, we only have one planet, and how do
But I
they?
think that's more the new generation.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true.
Because the older generation, they still...
But
Yeah.
you're adapting to that.
No, they are adapting. They are adapting. Absolutely true. But I think it's the new millennials, and that's something that you need to consider too, right? Not only as an entrepreneur, but as a business too, because that shift is gonna happen, or it's gonna happen for sure, but it's gonna happen to the point where the new generation is gonna take over. And then you have to cater to that new generations that, you know, they have more importance in terms of sustainability and the other the other whatnot that are in brand identity and other things.
But why do you think these new trends are coming, like fair trade or sustainability, etc., to the businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think that people think more now in consequences. At first, it was just a transaction. So, okay, I see the product, I buy it, and then you don't really know the story behind it, the faces behind it, the people behind it. Before Steve Jobs, like, what other person do we know about phone companies?
None, right?
Yeah, so it's all
Steve Jobs is connected to Apple.
Yeah. So people want to know more. They ask more questions. They get more curious. And I think because if we go back like 50 years, that would be not really normal, or not many people would do it. And if they would do it, they would be weird.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's pretty normal to say, okay, you wear that T-shirt. Well, what's the story behind it?
Right.
What's the brand behind it? Is it for rappers, for skaters? Is it for, I don't know, from a foundation, for, I don't know, cancer foundation or whatever?
And I think what happened is because back then you did have some brand identity where some people were connected to individuals, not necessarily that's related to the company. I'll give you a couple of examples. You have, for example, KFC. You have Colonel Sanders, right? No big issues there. But you have, for example, then Aunt Jemima, which is the pancakes, and those became issues because, you know, they were not well represented in people's mind. But which is different because now it's more not necessarily the person that's connected to the identity, but is the owner and the story that is connected to the identity that is shifting that whole brand imaging and identity. So maybe later we're gonna be seeing. We should be seeing what is it, Rurial and Manoj, and the story behind it in
Yeah.
in the media.
Oh well, yeah. Hopefully, I mean the idea here in a lot of what we sell, because we've been using a lot of electronics as the examples for our
Right.
entrepreneurial conversations.
Right.
But and then now we're going green, right? So if
Right.
we look at technology, it's evolving. So at the end of the day, like these headphones, by 2 years from now, maybe next year, we got to throw them in the garbage, right? Because it's evolving, and so we're going to be producing more garbage. The segment in which I chose to go into, which is what our family does,
Right.
is gold and diamonds and crystal and porcelain and silverware, flatware for your dining table. Now, if the flatware is good or the diamond ring is good, even if your wife, her eyesight goes bad, because that happens to women, because they get a lot of stress from their husbands, and then they need an excuse that they need a bigger diamond, right?
That's an excuse.
So let's say they got a 1 carat or a 2 carat stone, right? But so you're not going to take the 2 carat and throw it out and then get her 5 carat. You're going to find a way. Oh, that's the first diamond. Okay, convert it into a pendant, or it'll be for the child or the daughter.
Right.
So now you have a different mindset where the product is really green in the sense that it's going to remain. It's an asset with all the fluctuations and all of the
You reuse it for another purpose, but
you
still.
you see like anytime the dollar, now the oil prices are going up, and then you have now NFT, and you've got Bitcoin, you've got cryptocurrency going on, but still gold is there. Gold is a currency in its own
correct.
way. Diamond is still a currency. Any good thief goes to a house, he's going to steal the flatware for the dining table. I mean, the flatware first, right? Not the TVs, which in 2 days are not worth $50. And you can buy them at, So this is really important to take into mind in reference to products. And I think a lot of companies that are become very disposable are learning from the bigger brands in the industry, bigger luxury brands, to really remain in the household and to have a more long-term existence in that family's life. Not like today I'm buying a Sony TV, then tomorrow Samsung because technology changed.
Right.
But I remember my grandmother, she really loved that glass or that flatware or this diamond ring. This one gave it to me. So it really always stays with you.
And that's what we've been trying to do.
And that's what we try to continue. It's been lost for a while, because what happens is you have the generation, which is going to be really between, anyone really below 40, okay? So, and that's unfortunate. We go out more.
Why are you looking this way?
Anyone below 40 is going to be like not really, caring. If you have flatware in your house or nice wine glasses, it doesn't matter. But the older generation does, and so they're gonna lose. It's coming back, because people are realizing, hey, I just bought a really nice bottle of wine. I want to have a really nice glass with it.
Right.
I really want to have a 7-course gastronomic dinner. I really want to make the moment special. We spend so many hours of the day on this device, so it's about time that we kind of like slow it down, spend quality time with each other, and make the moments more special. That doesn't mean you have to spend a whole bunch of money with me, but that does mean, you got to accent it with something.
Right.
Make it interactive. And one of the things that we do at our store is that we sell you something that is tangible. So you're touching the same wine glass. Oh wow, I love these glasses. I love this flatware. You don't go to someone's house and touch their painting.
No.
Or touch those sculptures. Oh, that's a really nice watch. Let me touch it. Okay, there's a kind of a respect there.
Yeah,
so with the flatware and the stemware, that's something that I really push very hard, because the first thing, would you like something to drink? And you give a glass to somebody.
Right.
And when they're enjoying the appetizer, they're, wow, this is really nice. They talk about the meal, but they don't realize it's actually the fork and knife that enhanced the entire
experience, that
Yeah.
connection.
They always say,
Yep.
a really nice fork,
Are there wine glasses with diamonds as well?
We can always add them, put them with crazy glue and stick them on for you. Not a problem. You can have your name etched on the glass also.
Okay, I'm looking forward for a gift
Okay.
in Christmas, I guess.
Nice. You know, they say if you
Christmas
don't
time around?
ask in life, you don't get. So you got to come to the store, spend time with the family, with our team, with
No,
our.
I have to pass by.
It'll be a pleasure.
Yeah, I do have a comment about the generation you were talking about. This new generation being more sustainable. I think we are in a generation of sharing because of social media. So we care more about what's behind this product. For example, you see H&M. There was a news like years ago that they were paying like these employees in China like $1, and they were living in really or working in really poor environment. So for me, I saw that news and I said, "Oh, I don't wanna buy that clothes anymore, even though it's like just 10 euros." So I think that's something that we care about, like what's happening with these people that is producing this product or something like that, I think.
Yeah. It's very also on the topic on Apple, because Apple phones are like made by Foxconn. You remember like the conditions, labor conditions that Foxconn had, and that the employees had to work so many hours, and it was so crazy that they all lived in like buildings. Some were higher level and lower levels, and even the people on the higher levels, they just wanted to jump out to commit suicide because the labor conditions were that bad.
So worse, yeah.
But Foxconn had nets, so they wouldn't die.
Like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
wow.
Yeah,
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Apple was using them to make their phones.
All right, that's the thing, when you have a very interesting conversations, the time goes by very fast. So I want to just go to a couple more questions,
Sure.
with your permission, or a couple of points that I wanted to check.
Yeah.
We'll start off first with Manoj.
Don't worry.
You
would be the first.
Well, it was going pretty good until this last one, right? So, what were your main challenges during the COVID, and how did it impact you, and what did you do?
COVID was really a blessing, in the sense that it reset our company.
Okay.
And it really made us think how to keep doing business transactions in a market environment, which is, you're basically closed for 2 months. So it pushed all of us, the team, everybody, to really figure out how to get used to the technology, the website,
Correct.
Making a PDF catalog, speaking to your clients, emailing them, making it pleasurable.
Yeah.
Because everybody was doing the same. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
how did you reach
the
your
ones
customer in
who
a
are
gentle-
surviving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's a lot that didn't do any of those, and obviously didn't survive.
Right, exactly. So you had to figure out how to make it really easy to do the sale. Unfortunately, being in Aruba, the shipping costs are very expensive to export. Very, very expensive. So we are at a disadvantage a lot of the time, unless the item is a high ticket value, and then we're able to kind of subsidize for the client.
We can think
the
about an
shipping
idea how
cost.
to export and make it not expensive, and then we have new business.
You know.
Yes, then businesses will grow more because we'll be able to access other markets.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was just something, but it really was a game changer in the sense that it really made us think again.
Right.
Like, go back to the drawing board. Am I doing the right job? Am I not doing the right job? So it's every day is a new day. There was times where you thought, wow, would I still have a business? Do I have to go do door to door? What kind of events do I have to do? What kind of co-branding do I have to do?
Yeah.
To keep my brand relevant, to keep it evolving, to keep it growing, to keep it maturing. And this was something really challenging for us, but we did go through it because I have 3 awesome team members. They're rock stars, and they really pushed way over and beyond for the business to survive COVID. And today I can say I have like 3 persons that are like my shoulders, like they're bulletproof. I call them bulletproof all day long. And we have very good suppliers, and our suppliers are more flexible with us, more understanding. The supplier side, they had to also figure out how to
It also impacted them, right?
how to adjust their infrastructure to kind of facilitate for the retailer to be able to do more.
Exactly.
Not what do you call sell in, but sell out. So, I buy a product, it goes into the showroom. And so a lot of brands, they don't really care how I sell it as long as I sell it and if I keep buying more. But in this scenario, it really pushed all the suppliers to kind of help and assist the retailers say how to get it all the way out the door so that we can all keep surviving together. And it was service. It's so many different angles.
That is exactly the point, right? Because even though COVID impacted a lot of business on the island, not only on the island, obviously globally. But what did you do to mitigate, the pandemic? And did you innovate? Did you change? Did you explore new products, new services, new markets, new types of selling channels, sales channels? So, and obviously,
we have the best website in the Caribbean, hands down, for any retailer. I mean, we worked on that for years.
Okay.
And so our family, our group really pushed hard to make the website function amazing. And that really, really helped us a lot. And they're all technology friendly.
Okay. Nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Shiva, we have one question for you. And we didn't talk about that yet, but you also had a experience with a business that you started from your bedroom. I know the time is running on us, but maybe you can share with us the summarized version of your experience.
I'll try to have
Yeah,
it like a short
summarize.
version. So how it started?
Yeah.
Actually, it was a Christmas gift. A Christmas gift for a family member that I knew, and he was like, every time this person had a champagne bottle in his glass, he always had to pop it and make everybody wet. So I was like, this time for Christmas, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna give him his own champagne bottle.
Right.
That would be cool, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So then me and I took a different designer and someone else, and together with this team, we were researching like, how do we do this? And actually, it was way more difficult than we thought, because champagne only comes from the region France,
Right.
Champagne in France.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really make your own champagne in your basement.
Yeah.
It's not possible. It's not even legal. Anyways, so I did a lot of research, but the challenges that I had was I didn't know in which sequence I should do it. Like, should I first make the juice, have it taste right? Should I first make the bottle? Or should I start with the identity or whatever? In the end, I did everything wrong.
But you learned.
Yeah, I did learn. Like, I first started with the making of the bottle. And then later on, I was like, okay, I need someone to make it. Where do I find him? And I didn't look in Champagne. I looked like in the Netherlands. And then they were like, okay, but we don't have experience with making champagne bottles.
Oh.
And then I had to figure out a way. So I like what Manoj said, started back from day one. I was thinking, how do I start? So it was pretty difficult because I told the other guys, they were already working. I was like, listen, I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm going to try to figure out on my own what I can do.
Right.
And there was no help. There was no help whatsoever how you make a champagne company. I tried to look everywhere on YouTube. There was only one podcast of a woman that made a champagne company. And she said she went to Champagne, and then people didn't want to help her make her champagne brand, and she had introductions made.
Right.
So online, the only thing I had was one person. I emailed all the companies and I asked him, I want to start a champagne company. Can you help me with any ideas? And he said, listen, I don't know any champagne farmers or whatever, but if you want, I can write an email in French and maybe you could send it out. And I was like, this will be a dead-end company. I don't know what to do. I'm going to quit.
Right.
I forgot about it. And 2 weeks later, I saw his email in my inbox, and I was like, you know what? I gave up earlier, but I'm going to go back in the ring. I'm going to try it again.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm going to go to Champagne. I don't know anything, and I'm just going to see what happens. And then a few days before I had to leave to go to the Champagne region, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to email some people, and there's 16,000 growers, but I could only find 400 of them. And then a lot of them, they didn't even have an email address, and they are French, and I cannot speak French. So how do I do
Oh,
it?
you have that language barrier too.
Yeah.
But then the thing that I don't teach in school was I was like, how do I find growers? I just used Google Maps, satellite images.
That is
Right.
true.
satellite images, because from the satellite images you can see the wineries. And I just started emailing like the email 50 times. And people responded like immediately. I got 5 responses, and those responses were like, "We are on vacation, so please wait before we respond." And
That's the other thing.
I was discouraged. It was a setback. Eventually, a few others responded in English, call me, and then I picked on the phone. I spoke to this person. I won't mention his name, but everything was well. He was interested. He could make it, and the only thing that was strange for him was that I would tell him, "I have the bottle design. I'm gonna give it to you," and he said, "Okay, that's fine." And I said, "Okay, but when can I come by to talk to you? Is next week okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's sure. That's okay." So I went to Champagne, saw him, had a talk. One important thing, though, just as Manoj is saying, he's in the luxury industry, and Champagne, of course, is also a luxury.
Kind of high end, yeah.
Few hundred years old. So how are you going to differentiate yourself in a different industry that's like from way back?
Right.
And I had a design that was way different, but I couldn't show it yet to my customers. You know why? Because it takes 3 years, or like legally, it takes 15 months at least for your champagne to
be
age,
ready.
age in the cellar legally.
Right.
And then I was like, I learned all this new information when I was in Champagne, not from my desk, not
Right.
from YouTube, not from podcasts.
Right.
And that was really difficult.
Right.
So I had a killer design identity, but it couldn't really fit. And then I learned new stuff that was even worse. That was that the margins would be so small that I would like nearly not even be profitable before starting. So I was stressing out about a company that hadn't even started yet.
Yeah.
So that's a real difficult thing. I went back home and I told my other friends, like, okay, I'm quitting on this champagne company thing. And then I said, listen, I saw your design, and right now the reason why you're quitting is because of things in your mind. You didn't even test it yet. Like, change some things, regroup, rethink, and then
Make it
do
work.
it again. And that's where I'm at now.
Okay.
That's where I'm at now.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
That's the lesson.
Lesson, yes.
All right. Well, we've been talking about entrepreneurship, business mindset. We gave different examples, not only from big companies, but also from your own experience, from both other guests. Do you guys have one final tip that you want to provide to our listeners and viewers in terms of these 2 topics that we've been talking about? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
You go first,
I
okay.
want to go say I invite everybody to just give it a try.
Yeah.
Don't even go in with
Take a risk.
any expectations. Just try it. Start easy.
But a lot of people are not risk takers, huh?
Then
No
just
risk,
start
no return.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would invite
Mindset.
all our friends and to just come to our store and to have an experience. Maybe not necessarily, not every day you'll buy, but if you don't know what it is there,
Right.
then you'll never buy.
Correct.
So first thing
If
is
you
to
don't
come
know,
to
yeah,
know
true.
and visit and have an emotion. And even as from a business perspective, it's great to study the different brands to understand how they survive through the difficult times and what they stand for. You know, all our products are made in Europe. The same way that the town of Champagne is the only way you can call the sparkling wine a champagne. It's from that town of Reims, very close to Rennes. As the same as Baccarat. Baccarat is made in the town of Baccarat. Lalique is made in Strasbourg. And then, of course, we carry diamonds by Messica, and that's, the diamonds cut in Belgium. A beautiful brand. So when you come, you see, you touch, you get an idea, the same way as you went in Champagne.
Okay.
That's my only advice.
All right. No, very well
Thank
taken.
you.
Jennifer, I don't know if you have a last few words for our listeners, to our guests.
No, I thank you both for being here and and to share your experiences with us. It was really nice to have you
No,
both.
thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
I absolutely echo Jennifer. It was a very interesting conversation. not only from your own experiences, but talking about different concepts about the two topics that we brought forward. And I think we brought a lot of interesting information to our viewers and listeners. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Jennifer for setting this up. It was another amazing episode of FLORIN Talk. This is our 24th episode that we are airing on the internet waves on Sopimix Studio. So, like I said, thank you once again for being part of this show. In my final words, I want to thank the sponsors that make this platform possible, who are Subway, Swing Masters, and Credits. And, of course, FLORIN Talk is sponsored by Monarch CPA LLC, the 21st century accountants. Yes, we are innovative. Tune in. We are here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Next week, we will be back with another episode that's going to be talking about hybrid workspaces, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we're going to have Sanju Luidens and Tristan Avery in our show. So that should be another interesting topic. So don't forget to tune in. And the ones that tune in today, thank you for listening and viewing. We will be back next week. Thank you. Till the next time.